Hello, this is an instructional video to show you how you may automatically update your quarterly sales territory PowerPoints for the upcoming quarterly sales meeting. Before we get started, I want to mention that it is extremely important that all of your updates have been completed in Salesforce prior to the deadline that was provided to you. Once the deadline has passed, the report will reflect only those items that have been entered or updated up until that date. So the first thing that you'll want to do is to open the email containing the PowerPoint template. Along with the PowerPoint template, there will be an associated Excel file. Please save both files in the same folder or directory. It doesn't matter where you save them. They can be on your local C drive or on the network as long as they're saved in the same location. So I'm going to go ahead and save this PowerPoint template, and I'll go ahead and save it on my local C drive in my Documents folder. And the same thing with the Excel file. And you can see the path is the same, and I'll click Save. At this point, please do not rename either of the files. Keep the file names the same. And after you have completed your update, you may do a save as and or rename your PowerPoint template, just not yet. So now you can close out of your email and navigate to where you have saved your files. And here you can see they're both saved in the same folder. Okay, next you'll want to open the Excel file named Sales Quarterly Territories PP PowerPoint Data Feed. When you first open this file, you may see at the top here that there will be a yellow bar and asking you to enable the content. Please go ahead and do so. Macros must be enabled in order for the update to work. And there is an embedded file right here that tells you a little bit more about enabling macros if you need to. You can just double click on that. And here it shows you this is what that yellow bar would look like. My document is already a trusted source, so I no longer get that prompt. But when you receive it, you should see that prompt and go ahead and enable. Okay, so closing out of that. You'll also notice that this file opens up to an instructions tab. This walks you through exactly what we're going over today. Very, very simple. Okay, now what I want to do in this yellow box, it says cell B5, but it's really B10. You're going to want to go ahead and enter your Salesforce username just as if you're logging into Salesforce. So for my example, I think I still have it copied. I'm using, there we go, Tracy Day for this example. She's given me her permission to do so. And just note that the information on this example, some of the data is current, some is obsolete. This is just for use as a sample. Okay? So enter in this yellow box your Salesforce username, then simply click on this green update button. At this point, at the bottom of the screen, you can see that the PowerPoint file has opened. It may open in the front, it might open simply in the background, but you should see it open briefly at the bottom at the very least. Once the update has completed, you'll see that you get this pop-up saying finished updating, and just say, okay. Now, I'm going to navigate back to my folder, and I'm going to open the PowerPoint template. And when I get this pop-up, yes, I want to update the links. And you can see here that this information, had you opened the file before you ran the update, you would just see an NA error on the slide, and the remainder of the slides would just be blank. But now you can see it has Tracy Day listed. And as I scroll through, these slides are all specific to her as well. Okay, and at this point, I'll want to ensure that all of the information listed is accurate. When I get to this next slide, this is a very good example, and one of the reasons why I selected Tracy to use as an example, because you can see that this graph doesn't fit nicely on the slide any longer. When it was first created, it was blank. There were no fields, no rows of data, I should say. So what I'll want to do is, you see that little crosshairs as I'm moving my mouse? Go ahead and click on that. And I'm going to scroll over. You can now grab the corners and resize as needed. And if you can see as I'm moving this around on the page, those red dotted lines that appear as a guide to help you with centering. Okay. At this point, okay, let's say everything is correct. I'm ready to go. Now I may do a file save as and rename this file, your PowerPoint template. Okay, I'm going to go back into, I want to show you one other thing. If I go back into my Excel file, this at the bottom, these tabs, they are named with the slide number that is associated with them. If by any chance you have any information that is missing, that was not entered into Salesforce and completed prior to the deadline, you may manually make changes within the Excel file. In order to do that, let's say that there was another closed deal that didn't get closed out in Salesforce until after the quarter had completed in my deadline. So I can click on this row here, right click and say insert, and I'll say test account, for example, in the fabulous state of Tennessee, whatever you want to name it, process manager, okay, and you'll fill in all of the pertinent information. Now, if I go back, let me go back to that slide. Now you can see because these files are linked, that information is now showing in my PowerPoint template. However, if you make any manual changes, there are two things to note. First, yes, you may make manual changes, but it is absolutely imperative that you also go into Salesforce and make those updates as well. Just because you have the ability to do so, obviously Salesforce is the master. That is where all of the information needs to be updated and maintained. And also, if you make any manual changes, let me get back into this Excel file, please do not click on that update button again, because it will overwrite anything that I've manually entered. It's just going to wipe it out and start with what you had initially. So you will not want to click on update again. And lastly, as a final note, whereas we've done our very best to make this process as painless as possible for you by automating the portions that we're able, once the template is passed along, ownership of the finished PowerPoint becomes your responsibility. Please be certain that you review all of your information. You'll need to add in your commentary. So let me go back and I'll show you. We've created some placeholders, for example, on slide 2. And also, if I scroll down to slide 5, there are lots of placeholders. Make sure that you add in all of your commentary, format as needed if you need to resize any graphs and so forth. And be sure that you do a save as and rename prior to sending it to whomever will be compiling all of the PowerPoint presentations. Feel free to contact me, Kim Curtin, with any technical issues you may experience. Thank you for tuning in. Happy selling.